Hello dear students, welcome back to our news analysis program. June 28th is the last date for submitting application for the Grameen Bank exams, the regional rural bank exams announced by the IBPS. Today is June 23. You have just a few more days ahead. Please do not wait till the last moment, and please try to avoid the last minute data congestion. Ensure that you submit the application well in time, latest by today or tomorrow. All eligible candidates have to submit the application. Preparation should continue, work really hard, spend good quality time in reading the newspapers. Many students and parents are asking, when will we be starting the regular offline classes, because a good number of online students prefer to come for the offline program. Fine, well and good. And of course, those people who had been studying here till the government asked us to close, meaning those who joined up to March, April 2020, they were also asking, when will the classes begin? Yes, that is the same thing that we also want to hear from the government. We shall start within a week. The government permits us to start. We expect that it won't be that late, maybe the latest by August 1, I don't know, but still what I expect is that by August we shall be able to begin, if not earlier. So let us hope that things will turn around. The number of active cases of corona is coming down, the TPR is also coming down, so things are becoming favorable, and the governments know very well that the economy cannot be locked up for a longer time. So hope that things will turn to our favor soon, and soon we all will be able to meet each other. So we shall begin. This is the front page. Supreme Court seeks government decision on ex gratia payment. Record 82 lakh shots given in a day, which is the highest for our country. 8.2 million people are vaccinated in a single day. Okay, so we shall start. The first major news, Supreme Court seeks government decision on ex gratia payment. We shall discuss that. As per the Disaster Management Act, there is a statutory obligation. It's a statutory obligation, meaning government has to pay, to provide ex gratia to victims of national disasters. If anything is declared national disaster, as per the Disaster Management Act, the government is supposed to pay the victims compensation. The government declared COVID-19 as a national disaster. So, families of victims to COVID-19 get or must get compensation from the government. They are eligible and they must. But the government has taken a different stand in the Supreme Court. Government said that it cannot pay one-time compensation to families of COVID-19 victims, as its focus is on utilizing the funds to build other medical infrastructure. Government said that it will not adhere to an obligation, statutory obligation, but government said that this fund cannot be given to victims of relatives of victims. Rather, these funds are going to be used to enhance medical infrastructure and fight COVID. Okay, so that's that news all about. Now, a time to give. This is the Hindu editorial on the same subject. So we shall discuss that also. Families who lost breadwinners of COVID-19 need support and policies and safety net, says the Hindu. The Hindu editorial says that families of COVID-19 victims deserve to get support from the government. At first, what did the government say in the Supreme Court? The government said that such a compensation, 4 lakh rupees, this is what is demanded in the Supreme Court. 4 lakh rupees must be given to families of victims, and that is beyond the fiscal affordability of the government. The government said it did not have money. If 4 lakh rupees is given to each family member, and as more than 3.5 lakh people died in India, it would amount to around 15,000 crore, which the government did not have. That was the first stand taken by the government. Later on, the government said, no, we have money, but the priority is to build medical infrastructure. So this was the double stand that the government took, which was criticized by the Hindu newspaper. A recent survey called for 2.5 to 3% spending on health infrastructure. India's spending on health infrastructure is very poor, and the pandemic must function as an eye-opener so that the government increases or the country increases its spending on medical infrastructure, both in the private sector and in the public sector. So that is the essence of the Hindu editorial. Please go through that. Sir, will the online lectures be stopped once the normal lectures begin? Asks Rujik. No, Rujik. Online classes, live sessions, everything will continue even when the offline classes start. Don't worry at all. Online classes are an obligation to all the students. I did not say that when the offline classes start, online will be stopped. No, online classes will continue. In fact, we have been continuing online classes ever since June 8, 2020. Even when we were given permission from December 2020, we continue to give online classes. That will be there. That's our obligation. I hope it is clear, Rujik. Yeah, okay, I'm proceeding. So, all of you, did you all get this editorial content? It is about the petition filed by a few people asking Supreme Court to direct the government to provide 4 lakh rupees compensation to victims' families, COVID victims' families. And government took 2 stands. First, government cited fiscal affordability. Second, government said we have money, but our priorities are different. Our priority is to build medical infrastructure. Okay. A perpetual war. US should have backed Afghan government. This is about the decision of NATO US forces to back out of Afghanistan. We have discussed it many times, but it is in the limelight. Listen, the US wishes to complete its pullout from Afghan soil before September 11, 2021, the 20th anniversary. The 20th anniversary of Al-Qaeda's attack on the World Trade Center. It was on September 11, 2001. It was on September 11, 2001 that Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda attacked the Twin Towers of Manhattan, the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in Manhattan. We all saw that more than 3,000 people died on the day. Just after that, the United States declared war, a global war on terror, and they declared that they vowed to eliminate Al-Qaeda and capture Osama bin Laden. Later on, United States of America located Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden's presence in Afghanistan, and America sent its troops, America and NATO sent their troops to Afghanistan, and they stationed in Afghanistan, and they started in search of Osama bin Laden. So for the past 20 years, American and NATO forces have been in Afghanistan. And finally, Osama bin Laden was found in a secret house in a place called Abbottabad near Islamabad in Pakistan. He was captured and killed then and there. So with that, America's interest in Afghanistan ended. So America immediately wanted to pull out of Afghanistan. During that time, the Taliban, the militant Taliban forces have been trying to take control of Afghan government, which had been supported by the NATO American forces. Once the mission was accomplished, US declared to pull out of its troops from Afghanistan from May 2021. And American troops and NATO troops have started pulling out, and that pulling out will end on September 11, 2021. The pulling out would start in May 2021, and America wanted to complete. Listen, once American and NATO forces move out of Afghanistan, automatically the Afghan official government will get debilitated, meaning get weakened, because already nearly 70% of Afghanistan's rural area are controlled by Taliban forces. So, in February 2021, Taliban and American government signed Doha Agreement. This agreement was signed in Doha, Qatar. It was in Doha, Qatar that an agreement was signed. Official agreement was signed between Taliban, Afghan government and USA to have a peaceful transition after American forces pull out. Violence in Afghanistan is on the rise since then. Listen, Taliban forces are trying to enter Afghanistan's the province of Kabul, and they have already killed and threatened to kill many people who have functioned as allies to American forces while they were there. So violence is on the rise. Of late, India has also recognized certain realities that it is not worth negotiating with official Afghan government, because soon Taliban will become the official government of Afghanistan. Taliban will form the official government of Afghanistan. So we are also trying to make some kind of diplomatic changes, and we are also trying to negotiate and initiate negotiations with the Taliban forces. So have you all understood this? Whatever I have discussed? I have discussed about the origin, why American forces landed, or how American forces landed in Afghanistan, and why they decided to pull out of Afghanistan, and I have discussed the Doha Agreement, by which the transition of power is going to take place in Afghanistan. Have you all understood? Please answer. A few people may answer quickly. Listen, this session is available in our app as well as in YouTube. Okay, please answer. Have you all understood? Quickly. Okay, so a few responses have come, so I am proceeding. A case to decriminalize suicide. As per our statute book, attempt of suicide is a criminal offence. If anybody tries to take his life and fails, of course those who commit suicide, no case is possible. Somebody who tries to take out his or her life and fails, then it is a criminal offence in India as per section 309 of the Indian Penal Code. As per the Indian Penal Code's section 309, attempt of suicide is a criminal offence that may attract simple imprisonment of maximum 1 year or fine or both. This article asks for decriminalizing suicide. So let us discuss that. Listen, these are all generally topics for group discussions. Should we decriminalize attempt of suicide? These are all topics that come for discussions for selections. News regarding US and Afghanistan, okay, understood, fine. So decriminalizing. So please understand that these are all important topics and you should have ideas. India has the highest suicide rate in Southeast Asian region. 1,34,516 cases were reported as per National Crime Records Bureau. Crime Records Bureau takes note of all crimes in India, and in India, attempt of suicide is a crime. The major reasons are depression, chronic ill health, guilt, trauma, substance abuse, failure in exams, and loss of loved ones. These are the reasons for major reasons for suicides in India. Section 309 of IPC. Section 309 of IPC dictates. What does it dictate? Penal provisions for attempting suicide. A simple imprisonment of 1 year or fine or both. So if anybody tries to take his or her life and fails, then it is a criminal offence. What is meant by a criminal offence? A criminal offence means a public offence, an offence against the state. A criminal offence is an offence against the state. There are two major laws. One is called criminal law, the other is called civil law. Criminal law means the law of public offences, while civil law is called the law of private offences. Trespassing one's property, attempt of killing or killing, murder, all these are criminal offences. Similarly, meaning once a criminal offence is done, the state has to take cognizance of that. The state cannot remain a mute spectator, rather it has to take cognizance of that. That is what is meant by a criminal offence. So, attempt of suicide is a criminal offence under section 309. Listen, sociologists and reformist minds say that what is needed is a reformative treatment and not punishment. Somebody who has decided to take his own life has already been punished by the society in one way or the other. There could be, it's a mental illness. So for a mental illness, what is required is not punishment but a reformative treatment. That is what is required. Listen, most of our criminal laws date back to our colonial period. India still follows colonial legacies in penal jurisprudence. We know that most of the laws, criminal laws that are written in India were written during the British time. And we have not made too many changes. In fact, changes that are required in accordance with the needs of time. But the British Parliament, mind you, the British people who criminalized suicide in India, they decriminalized it in 1961. They decriminalized attempt of suicide in 1961, but still we keep. The Britishers who wrote this law repealed in 1961, but still we keep it for ourselves. So the law needs immediate reforms. In 2017, there was an attempt by the Indian Parliament. What is that? The Parliament passed the Mental Health Care Act. It provided for any person who attempts to commit suicide shall be presumed, unless proved otherwise, to have severe stress and shall not be tried and punished. That was the act. Listen, the law is very peculiar, law is very tricky. The law says that it provided for any person who attempts to commit suicide shall be presumed to be mentally ill, unless proved otherwise, and they should not be punished. Listen, this particular provision is available only to those who are suffering from mental illness. If that mental illness cannot be proved in a court, then punishment is the next option. So the article says that what is required is clear-cut repealing of section 309. Presently, if somebody tries to commit suicide, then his case must be proven in a court of law that he is mentally ill. If he is mentally ill, then he cannot be punished. But if it is not proven, then punishment is the option. The statute dictates punishment. So the article writer says that what is required is a more clear law which simply repeals section 309. So section 309 must be repealed. That is the demand of the writer. Is it clear to you? Is it clear to you? This is not going to come for your examination. When section 309 is repealed, some days it may, but now it is not. So still you should show interest in reading all these things. Is it clear to you? Hello? And read that article also. It's a center page article. Please read. Have you all understood? Got a background of what is discussed? Excuse me, quickly. A few people may answer. I am waiting for some of the responses from a few people. Yes. Okay. Good. Good, good. Make sure that you read that article. Good. Thank you. Raisi for nuclear talks rules out Joseph Biden meet. Ibrahim Raisi is elected the president of Iran. Yesterday we discussed it, and I told you that in Iran the highest authority is the supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, and president of Iran also wields power as he is the head of the state. Ibrahim Raisi is elected the president of Iran. Iranian elections were conducted in a highly controversial procedures. A good number of political heavyweights could not contest elections because only a few people were permitted to stand in for elections. Ibrahim Raisi is finally elected. He is a hardliner, an ultra conservative cleric who heads Iran's judiciary. So Iran is a Shia Muslim state, and Iran is a tough Islamic country where tough Islamic rules prevail, but Iran has been trying to reform itself, but again a ultra conservative person has been elected president of Iran. So hopes for further reforms in Iran have suffered a hit. So only 48% of the people voted in elections. Many political heavyweights had been barred from running elections. So that's why I said that elections were highly controversial and did not get much political support, popular support. US imposed sanctions have battered the country. Already there are sanctions ever since 2018. There have been sanctions imposed by United States of America and Iran. So no country can do trade with Iran. So Iran economy has been, listen, Iran is one of the few countries having huge resource of oil, but Iran is neither able to sell oil or buy other things because of the trade sanctions imposed on Iran. In 2015, Iran signed an agreement with P5 plus Germany. What are these P5? P5 means 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. They are America, China, England, France and Russia. So these P5 plus Germany and Iran signed an agreement. As per this agreement, Iran decided to curb their nuclear aspirations, and they placed Iranian military nuclear assets under the inspection of United Nations nuclear watchdog. And in return, America decided to take out the sanctions that had been imposed. Easing of sanctions. Sanctions will be eased. America said, okay, you place your nuclear assets under the inspection of United Nations agencies. In return, we would ease sanctions. So, peace have been coming back, economy have been getting revived under the 2015 agreement, but later in 2018, the cantankerous American President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew the agreement and reimposed economic sanctions on Iran. Immediately Iran retaliated, saying that okay, if that were the case, we will revive our nuclear aspirations. The new American president, the Democratic president Joseph Biden, said that he would reinitiate the discussions. Now, but the new president of Iran says that okay, he welcomed negotiations, but he would not meet American president. Okay, now there is a power change in Iran. You should take note of it, and that is very important. Have you all got a brief idea about things on Iran? Please quickly answer. Quickly. Quick. Hello. Okay, good. Thank you. Armenian Prime Minister wins majority in polls despite anger over war. Armenia, Azerbaijan, all these were former Soviet republics. Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, and Soviet Union got disintegrated into 15 new republics. Azerbaijan, Armenia, all are Soviet republics in the Asian region. Soviet Union is a very big country spanning across Europe and Asia, and these were, Azerbaijan and Armenia were former Soviet republics, and there are sharing borders. Last year there were a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia over Nagorno-Karabakh region. Armenia ceded this region to Azerbaijan to end the war. Armenia had ceded the territory to Azerbaijan to end the war, and at that time Nikol Pashinyan was the acting prime minister of Armenia. So despite his decision to cede the territory to Azerbaijan, he won the election. So who is the new prime minister of Armenia? It is Nikol Pashinyan. Please take note. SBI gets board note to raise 14,000 crore, very important for your examination. State Bank of India is to mobilize 14,000 crore by issuing Basel III compliant bonds. What is this Basel? Basel is a place in Switzerland. Basel is a place in Switzerland. It was in Basel that central bank governors used to summon informally to share their regulatory concerns. But later on, it got some kind of a formal platform. It evolved itself as a formal platform, and they started imposing Basel norms. Basel norms are not mandatory, but it's a kind of a self-compliant norms. India has decided to comply with Basel norms. Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. These are all stricter norms. To comply with Basel norms, these Basel norms are designed to strengthen the banking system. So America, for example, has not complied itself with Basel norms, but India has decided that we would comply with Basel system. It's for our betterment that we comply with Basel norms. So as per Basel norms, out of the total risk weighted assets, a part must be kept as capital. So that is called capital adequacy ratio. Capital adequacy ratio means capital divided by risk weighted assets. So what is capital adequacy ratio? Capital adequacy ratio means capital divided by risk weighted assets. What is under asset? Asset means loans. For a bank, every loan is an asset. If you take a loan from a bank, it is your liability but bank's asset. So every asset, meaning every loan, is risk weighted, and a part of that risk weight must be covered with proper adequate capital. So it is to increase that capital base that State Bank of India has decided to mobilize 14,000 crore through debt. Capital can come through two ways: one, owner's capital, or debt capital. Here SBI has decided to mobilize capital through debt, and these bonds, this debt is raised through issuing bonds. These debts are to be issued in either Indian rupee or in US currencies, US dollar. I think it is clear to you. I shall take a session class on capital adequacy ratio and Basel norms in detail. Gives emotional tribute to Father Milkha Singh. Milkha Singh, the legendary legendary sprinter of India. He was winner of 200 and 400 meters, four-time national Asian title holder, and he lost an Olympic medal less than a fraction of a second. He was the icon of Indian sports for long years, a man who saw the death of his parents and three siblings during the India-Pakistan division in 1947. Had a very tough life. He got relocated to India and joined the Indian Army. It was during that time that the sportsman in him was invented, was discovered, and the rest is history. He got four Asian Asiad gold medals, and he was the first one to get very close to winning an Olympic medal. And Milkha Singh, the legendary sportsperson of India, is no more. Jeev Milkha Singh is Milkha Singh's son. He is a golfer. Okay. So thank you, my dear students. I hope you have got reasonably good insight of various things. Please read the newspapers well. Tomorrow we shall be discussing today's newspaper. So today we will have another session at 3 o'clock on either math, QA or reasoning. Be ready for that. Study well. Have a very nice time ahead of you. Don't forget to apply for that regional rural bank examination. Very important. We have got in Kerala also there are a good number of vacancies. In Tamil Nadu also there are a good number of vacancies. So prepare hard for that. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye bye.